It keeps happening at the biggest tournaments. A top-ranked player walked off a Grand Slam court mid-tournament looking physically fine but mentally somewhere entirely different. The broadcast gave it 30 seconds before moving on. But tennis fans couldn't let it go. Forums, comment sections, group chats, the same question kept surfacing. What is it about Alcaraz that leaves seasoned professionals looking so completely lost out there? Coaches arriving with detailed game plans, players who had beaten him before, veterans who'd spent careers reading opponents.
Hey, this guy's got some talent. That guy's pretty quick out there.
And still that same hollow expression at the end. Tsitsipas has visibly changed his baseline positioning when facing him. Djokovic, someone who spent 2 decades dismantling every puzzle this sport produced, walks off losses to Alcaraz wearing an expression that's genuinely difficult to categorize. A tennis coach finally sat down and explained the structural reason behind all of it. Not the broadcast version, the real one.
At this age, I've never seen a player this good, this complete.
Grounded in ATP tracking data and match charting project numbers that were sitting in plain sight the whole time, waiting for someone to connect the dots. Subscribe. This channel covers what mainstream tennis coverage quietly skips. Here's why everyone hates playing Alcaraz, and why the data makes it impossible to argue otherwise. When a coach sits down to build a game plan against Alcaraz, the first thing they realize is that the usual framework doesn't apply. Heavy hitters have a blueprint. Push deep, absorb pace, grind until the errors come. Tour players spend careers mastering that formula, and it works against almost everyone at the top of the game. Against Alcaraz, coaches keep arriving at the same dead end. The gap isn't speed and it isn't power either. It comes down to one specific weapon that turns every defensive position on court into a losing one. And it took a tennis coach to finally explain exactly why.
Oh, this is a little bit of Murphian magic.
Every top player on tour hits drop shots. It's not a rare weapon. Clay court specialists have used it for decades.
And I'm hoping that they're going to look at Carlos and what he does and how he loves to be aggressive.
What made coaches start paying serious attention wasn't the shot itself, it was the numbers sitting behind how Alcaraz uses it. According to ATP tracking data, the average professional hits roughly 0.85 rally-ending forehand drop shots per match, winning about 51.5% of those points. Alcaraz hits 2.83 per match and wins 67.7% of them, more than 3 times the tour frequency, nearly 17 percentage points higher in success rate. On clay, that forehand drop shot rate climbs even further to 3.81 per match. The number that should genuinely alarm any opponent sitting in a pre-match briefing, though, is this one. Roughly 1 in every 6 of his forehand drop shots comes on break points or points that could lead to break points. And his win rate on those specific high-pressure attempts sits at 71.4%. This isn't a player reaching for a trick shot when things are comfortable. This is a player deploying his most disruptive weapon at the exact moment the match is on the line, and winning nearly 3/4 of those points when he does. That's not flair. That's a pressure tactic backed by hard data. Most casual analysis stops right there. The broadcast calls it great touch, the commentators move on, and the conversation ends. But coaches don't stop there because the drop shot doesn't exist in isolation. It's the product of a very deliberately engineered sequence that starts well before the shot itself is ever hit. Before Alcaraz pulls the trigger, something specific has already happened. He's been hitting ground strokes at roughly 134 kilometers per hour on average, measurably faster than his typical rally pace, and doing it consistently enough to force opponents backward. ATP tracking data shows the average opponent is standing 14.5 meters behind the net at the moment Alcaraz executes a forehand drop shot. That's 1.6 meters further back than the already deep average positioning opponents hold. Contact, subtract the time needed to contact. Subtract the time needed to recognize the shot, stop forward momentum, and reset. That leaves around 1.1 seconds to physically close that distance. A world-class sprinter would find it challenging. A tennis player pushed to the back of the court mid-rally is in a genuinely impossible situation. The physical math is broken before the opponent even takes a first step. Now here's where it gets worse. The distance problem alone would be manageable if opponents could read the shot early and move preemptively. But that option gets taken away too, and this is the layer that coaches find most difficult to solve. Alcaraz's coaches at the Juan Carlos Ferrero Academy confirmed something that reframes the entire picture. He makes little to no grip change between his topspin forehand and his drop shot. Most professionals shift their grip, sometimes subtly, sometimes more noticeably, when transitioning to a touch shot. That shift is a tell. Coaches watching from the box can pick it up. Alert opponents can feel it in the rhythm of a rally. Alcaraz removes that tell almost entirely. When he raises his racket and sets up for what looks like another heavy forehand, opponents do exactly what they're trained to do. They read the preparation and begin shifting their weight backward to absorb the incoming pace. By the time the drop shot registers as a drop shot, that backward weight shift has already committed. The lag between contact and an opponent's first forward step is, according to ATP data, rarely seen at this level. His early coach Kiko Navarro confirmed in a 2025 interview that Alcaraz was already executing the fake drop shot as a child at Les Petits As, one of the most prestigious junior tournaments in the world. Opponents aren't dealing with a recently developed weapon. They're dealing with something practiced and sharpened for well over a decade. Hall of Famer Tracy Austin put the competitive reality plainly. With that massive forehand, he is constantly pushing opponents back. Then the forecourt becomes open. He has the finesse, and he's great at recognizing when the right time is to use the drop. It's such a threat. That description captures the physical side, but it still doesn't fully explain why professionals walk off matches against Alcaraz looking drained in a way that pure physical exhaustion doesn't account for. That answer sits somewhere else entirely. Tennis strategy at the highest level depends on the ability to settle into patterns. A player identifies what's working in the first set, reinforces it, and builds competitive confidence from that repetition. Knowing roughly what's coming, and when, is how top players manage the mental load of high-stakes matches. It's how rhythm gets built and how momentum gets sustained over 3 or 5 sets. Against Alcaraz, that stabilization process gets interrupted at the exact moment opponents try to apply it. Stand deep to absorb his heavy ground strokes, and you're handing him the precise court geometry his drop shot is built on. The forecourt opens up completely, and you're already behind the baseline with no realistic path to recover in time. Creep forward to cut off the drop shot threat, and the angles behind you become dangerous. The passing shots, the lobs, the deep cross-court forehands, all of those get significantly more threatening the moment you surrender depth. There is no neutral position. Every defensive adjustment creates an exploitable consequence on the other side. Coaches describe this as three-dimensional defense. Opponents must simultaneously respect width, depth, and the short ball on every single rally. Most elite matches operate in 2 of those dimensions. Against Alcaraz, the third one is permanently live. Match charting project data from a 60-player sample puts a number on the damage. Alcaraz hits baseline drop shots in roughly 5.4% of his points, the same raw frequency as Alexander Bublik, a player essentially defined by his drop shot usage. But where Bublik wins 45.4% of those points, Alcaraz wins 62.1%. The model-based value of his drop shot, accounting for what he could have won from those court positions without hitting a drop shot, ranks as the highest in the entire sample studied. The effect doesn't even stop at the point itself. Tennis abstract data shows that after a drop shot exchange, regardless of who wins it, Alcaraz's win percentage on the very next point sits at 44%, compared to a tour average of 38.3%. The disruption carries forward into the following rally. The opponent is already thinking about the last point while the next one starts. At Queen's Club 2023, ATP Infosys data showed Alcaraz posting a plus 30-point margin in short rallies of 0 to 4 shots, plus 18 in medium rallies of 5 to 8 shots, and plus 8 in rallies beyond 9 shots. He won across every single category in the same tournament. Most elite players have a rally length sweet spot, a zone where their game peaks and where opponents naturally try to steer the match. Alcaraz doesn't have a vulnerable zone. Coaches can't point to a rally length and say, "Get it there." There's nowhere safe to send it. And then there's the footnote that underlines just how unique his execution actually is. When Alcaraz rose through the rankings from 2021 onward, other professionals took notice. Players who already used the forehand drop shot, Ruud, Fritz, Sinner, Tiafoe, Bublik, started deploying it even more frequently. They saw the results. They tried to bring the same weapon into their own games. Their success rate dropped. The forehand drop shot win percentage across that group fell from 52.4% to 48.2% during the same period. The shot got used more and worked less. The reason is exactly what his coaches describe. The grip neutrality that makes his preparation unreadable. The specific groundstroke pace that forces opponents 14.5 meters behind the net before the drop shot even arrives. The timing judgment built over years of deliberate practice, none of that transfers through imitation. Without all those components working together, the drop shot is just another option. In Alcaraz's hands, it's an interconnected system where every part depends on every other part functioning correctly. Sebastian Baez, who has faced Alcaraz multiple times, described the experience as honestly as any player has. With all the power he has, he pushes you back, and when he hits the drop shot, whether it's good or not, you're really far back. He uses that to gain time, and sometimes it's not even worth running. A professional tennis player at the highest level of the sport deciding it's not worth running for a shot. That single sentence is the most accurate summary of what the data produces when it converts into real match conditions. That's why everyone hates playing Alcaraz, not the power, not the speed, the system, and the fact that there is genuinely no neutral place to stand against it. If you've watched Alcaraz before and found yourself wondering why opponents look so completely off balance, now you have the actual answer, not the broadcast version, the one coaches work through when they're building game plans and running out of solutions. Drop a comment below and tell us which player you think comes closest to finding a consistent answer against him. We read everything. And if this kind of breakdown is what you're here for, verified data, real tactical analysis, the perspective mainstream tennis coverage consistently skips, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. This level of detail goes out every week, and the next one is already being built. See you there.